Now I want to take you back, my dear, to that time, San Bernardino, and we saw a false flag inside a false flag. We won't go into the details of that, but this was a time where we could see the CIA and the FBI actually opposing one another for whatever reason. We won't go into right now, but you have to hear what we're trying to tell you here. If you just dropped in, we know that the CIA and the FBI are fronts for MI6, Five Eyes, and the British. And that's the vehicle they use in this thing called a special relationship to spy, surveil, and control on Americans. So when you know that, then you can see what's going on out in the field, maybe in a different way. Now, the other day I woke up, go and check, all my cats around the world are checking in, and everybody's dumping this story onto my posts about this whistleblower that has gone into Butler, Pennsylvania, and has filed a citizen criminal report that essentially throws the FBI under the bus. Now, I'm not saying that the report isn't accurate, but you have to go, really, why isn't this making the news everywhere? So I went and I checked the news. It's nowhere. It does seem like it was done legally at an office somewhere in Butler, Pennsylvania. And it implicates the governor and the former FBI chief as the people that were planning the event in Butler. And, I can't say all these words because, I'm barely hanging on to YouTube as it is. So I looked at that and I said, now, isn't that interesting? What's really going on here? So the next thing I saw was Tucker Carlson interviewing and having a discussion about this with a British guy. Oh, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he's a British guy. Americans, we love our British cousins who are struggling with the empire. But we here in America have to understand, when you are listening to a reporter who has a British accent, you got to say, who are they and what's their agenda, okay? And especially if they're blind and they're the first reporter on the scene at a certain event in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's just crazy. So then I thought about San Bernardino, where the CIA and FBI were kind of opposing each other. And then I keep thinking about the British Pilgrim Society now, sipping tea in the afternoon, having their little meetings. They have to be absolutely gobsmacked to see what Trump is doing. I mean, he's stripping them of the Gaza, because we all know that Israel is there because of the Balfour Declaration. So the British are behind all of this that's going on, but they just use Israel and the Jews and all of that as their front. But then Trump comes right in and says, no, I'm going to take this land and we're going to develop it. And everybody knows that the pipeline's going to run through that. So this is going to be a very lucrative deal. And then they look around and they see that Donald Trump is releasing all the FBI files on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But if you walk it back far enough, you're going to see MI6, Five Eyes, and the Brits behind the entire operation. So the British Pilgrim Society is getting nervous, so they're sending their boys in to protect them. What they do is they'll send in their propaganda to their favorite media channels, and that's what I could see. When you see stories like that coming out, pay attention. Where are these stories coming from? Are there any source links? Who are the people on X and all the different platforms sending it in? And then when you see Tucker Carlson, a known CIA, he's on the friggin' roster of the Pilgrim Society, okay? It's not conspiracy. He's one of them. He's an enemy. Yucking it up, talking about this. Oh, my gosh. What you see is the CIA, the British, trying to throw the FBI under the bus now because they're realizing their game is up. And if they don't throw something to the American people of who did this, we're going to walk it back to the CIA, to MI6, right there into the lap of old Charles III. So, yeah, they're getting nervous.
There has traditionally been a war between the CIA and the FBI, the DOJ. You saw that during Trump's time. You saw that Crossfire Hurricane had 12 different names. Why? Because Peter Strzok at first was working with the CIA, then he worked with a special office in the CIA, then he worked with the FBI, then he worked with the DOJ, and then he worked with the special counsel office, and then on and on and on. So he's one of these detailees.
SES.
And he's SES. And by the way, he didn't get fired. He got no punishment, and he had a nice sexual relationship with a government phone with his girlfriend, Lisa. Nothing happened, okay? So what's happening, let me give you a few examples, what Betsy was just talking about. Cisco systems used to have literally the entire internet was on Cisco servers. And they used to have a commercial saying 97% of everything that goes across the internet goes through Cisco services. Now, people never believe me, but I know this to be true because I went there. Right next to the Pentagon, there was a building that they built to basically be the housing for Cisco systems. Well, Cisco Systems was, of course, DOD controlled. Well, the DOD and the CIA don't really like each other because the CIA goes in and starts wars and the DOD has to clean them up. And they sure don't like the FBI because the FBI is told they can only work within their own boundaries of America, but they want to work everywhere. And when you're a CIA agent and you're a big-time agent, and afterwards you know what's going on, that you are actually an arm of the British government. You are an arm of the GCHQ, the General Communications Headquarters in Britain, runs the NSA. Okay, MI5, MI6 runs CIA and the FBI. Period. We've given you the names of the handlers of who was handling those people at the time of Crossfire Hurricane. So what you have here with Cisco Company, at one point they had a big commercial, and I don't know why, it was news everywhere, it was on the news for a long time, that really what happened was Cisco was giving too much information about the rogue CIA, because once you're in the CIA, you actually afterwards become a rogue CIA, and you either work for, ex-presidents, or the Brits, or globalists, or the World Economic Forum, and you work out of Azerbaijan, and you're or CERN. CERN is one of the largest headquarters for the rogue CIA, basically the British Pilgrim Society. So they were mad that CERN opened up, CERN later opened up under false pretenses the World Wide Web so that they could spy on you. And the CIA is controlled through In-Q-Tel, and In-Q-Tel is a transnational organization that works with DARPA, In-Q-Tel, Highlands Forum, the Office of Net Assessment, and all of the biggest capital venture groups in the world that create the weapons for all nations all at one time. So there was a big conflict between the FBI and the CIA. And basically, when Trump said he's going to get the columns out of the CIA in his first administration, he meant the fifth column, which means the CIA is basically foreign war actors on our soil. That's who they are. And they don't answer to anybody, and their budget's black ops. And that's the reason that, the Pentagon has such a huge budget, and some of it they can't answer to because it's CIA black ops, which is all about protecting corporations and fleecing other nations, controlling elections, which is all British control, by the way. The British are always the benefit of all of these, whether it's oil or gold or whatever. So anyway, they put a back door. They showed a picture of Cisco putting a backdoor into all servers that were being sent around the world to make it look like every server had a backdoor put in by Cisco. And they were blaming it, of course, on the CIA. Who was that? That was the FBI. And why? Because they'd already started ARPANET through DARPA. They started ARPANET to build weapons, and it was their little baby. And then it went worldwide when it became the DARKNET, and that was CIA. And then when it became the home of commerce, it got out of control. And now it's really nobody's. It's in the hands of these crazy cardboard cutouts, Silicon Valley genius boys who are actually idiots and members of the Johns Hopkins Special Children's School. Just look, they're mostly MK Ultra brainwashed people. Now, Peter Thiel has the ability, because that's the new thing. Palantir is the newest form of what's called sentient world simulation or total information awareness. They change the names every year. Anytime they change the name, it's because they were guilty the previous year, and that's a British trick. So the CIA is at CERN and is the biggest collection place in the world. There is no Large Hadron Collider there. We've proven that. But it's the largest amount of money spent in the world. And what does it go to? A rogue intelligence information agency that works for who? Well, it's in Geneva, Switzerland, folks. The Bank for International Settlement. The biggest corruption in the world happens in Switzerland, right? But they're going to put a Hadron Collider there that could blow up the whole world. Not going to happen. It's in Geneva, by the way. So anyway, the point is that the FBI and the CIA, now there is no CIA. Okay? Do you think the CIA can make a report to Trump about what they're doing? There can't be any more CIA activity. They can't. He wants transparency. There can't be one single action taken by the CIA because it's all black ops, illegal, against the Geneva Convention, and completely anti-American, completely globalist, and run by In-Q-Tel.
Which goes to my point. Citizens, we must stop paying taxes into this corrupt system. So I'm calling for a tax moratorium until all of this can be audited. I do not want my money to go to support terrorism, but it looks like it's going to support right now the CIA, FBI, NSA, M15, M16, In-Q-Tel, CERN, BIS. Who am I leaving out?
Those are the big ones. Those are the people who control it. It's the same people who control the propaganda, control the economic system, and everything else and destroy everything else. Rudolf Steiner said that if the time would come when all that government would focus on would be economy, then the entire cultural sphere and the legal sphere would be lost. Well, look, our legal sphere is nothing more than a bunch of DEI hires who are anti-constitutional, not unconstitutional, anti-constitutional, right? What are our social systems? We just got through seeing what USAID took as the Frankfurt School and the Tavistock Institute and made it into the predicted Chinese rotting of America from the core inside out because of morals. Is that not what happened? What is it? 56 million babies have been killed? At what point do you stop and say, hey, wait a second, there's a whole lot of people need babies. Why are we killing them? Or any logic in any of this? Climate control, the IRS. Why are we still living underneath the lies of World War I, World War II, and every war since then that got us into further debt, hypothecated to your child at the moment you give them a Social Security card? Why are we still living in this British control system? We are nothing more than earmarked and tagged, vaccinated and controlled cattle of the British Pilgrim Society.